There's another story I want to cover today. I'm very confused about something. I want to know about Baldur's Gate 3, and I think you guys are going to know way more than I do. All right? So Baldur's Gate 3, everyone knows, currently is out on PC, and it's one of the highest rated games ever. Everyone playing it is saying they absolutely love it. All right? Had super duper high amount of concurrent players. Not the most played, but one of the highest, most concurrent played games ever on Steam. All right? It's doing really well. I'm glad to hear this. You know, before we even get to the topic I wanted to discuss, why am I not playing it? Well, number one, because it's PC centric. Most people are PC gamers. I'm not. I don't really have means. I mean, I could try to maybe get it work on my mini PC. It probably wouldn't run very well. All right. Number two, the game is insane. It is 100 hours minimum for the story. The story. For those going through and doing side content and other stuff, it could be like a 200-hour game. I'm a variety streamer multiple times. Within a month's time, we're going to have tons of new releases coming out in September that everyone's going to want to see. This is not the kind of game that fits my format. It's a shame. If I was someone who just sat down and played one game for 2 months straight, Baldur's Gate 3 would probably be an amazing playthrough, okay? But that's not me. In addition, the combat is more slow, deliberate. The original Sin 2, that's kind of how the combat is. That's not entertaining for my audience. I know. Want to know how I know? Because I played XCOM, because I played Mario plus Rabbids, because I played Divinity Original Sin 2, and every time I played those games, people said, this is boring, okay? I didn't say that. I get it. I do enjoy that style of gameplay. For some reason, my audience doesn't. All right? So, because of that, I skipped it. And I think it was the right choice. I think if I was trying to play that game and balance it, it wouldn't have worked. People would have been upset that I wasn't playing it enough. Just like with Divinity 2. It was like, man, you're just not playing it enough for it to be entertaining, and we're waiting too long between I hear you. And that's why I didn't want to do the game a disservice, quite frankly. But, you know, I hear that so many people have really enjoyed this game. I'm really happy. I'm glad that people who like this style are really having a great time and saying it's like best in class, one of the best video games ever made. Great. Very happy, right? Now, that being said, there is this weird thing going on, all right, where, correct me if I'm wrong, all right, the game is so good that other game developers are coming out saying things such as, oh, just because this game is that good, don't expect all other games to be held up to that standard. That, excuse me, that Baldur's an anomaly among games, and that you should not expect that all other video games will be that good moving forward. That you know, enjoy it for what it is, but don't demand that we have games as good as that in the future. Okay? What's going on, Juan? Hello? Cracker Jacks, you're taking off. All right, I'll see you later. So, basically, when I hear that, all right, I scratch my head. All right? Here's the way I see it. And this is going to maybe blow some people's minds. All right? When something comes out that's good or better than everything else out there, okay? Basically, the way I see it is, that's a good thing for everybody. All right? Because competition breeds innovation. Competition makes things improve. Competition makes it so that everyone else wants to be better. All right? You know, I'm a YouTuber, and back in the day, I used to be one of the biggest gaming YouTubers. And then what ended up happening was, all around me, the YouTube landscape changed. All right? Now, some people would argue things improved. Some people would argue things got worse. Okay? I would argue somewhere in the middle. I think a lot of people started taking YouTube more professionally, but at the same time, a lot of things got degraded and became a lot of corporate shilling and crap like that. So you take the good with the bad, correct? But overall, today you look at YouTube and you say, well, production values are higher. There's a wide variety of content for you to select on YouTube that you can watch. It's not like 10, 15 years ago where there was very limited, right? The reason I was successful 15 years ago, I was one of the few people putting out the amount of content I was. No one else was working that hard on YouTube, right? Now, there's almost unlimited amounts of content to watch on YouTube, right? So YouTube's improved, but you might argue it's not as good as it used to be, but it has improved over time, correct? I remember when, just a few years ago, all of a sudden, all the fast food chains were upset because Popeyes had a new chicken sandwich. Do you remember this? Popeyes came out with a chicken sandwich that was so good in comparison to all their competitors that people were lining up outside of Popeyes in the drive-thru to buy it. And all the other competitors were complaining, why do they have such a good sandwich? Do they not understand what they're doing? You know? But what ended up happening was now all the competitors have had to up their game. And now almost every single fast food chain has a high-end chicken sandwich. You know, we went from chicken sandwiches being these little dried out, overcooked, flavorless patties to big, crunchy on the outside, seasoned fried chicken breasts, juicy on the inside, high-end condiments, fresh veggies on usually some kind of a special bun. Almost every single fast food chain has that now. Why? Because Popeyes created this big competition by stepping their game up, and then everyone else wanted to compete with that. Do you see? So when we're talking about video games, just because a competitor has gone above and beyond and exceeded expectations, I don't see how that's a bad thing for the game industry. I really don't, all right? What I see it is a bad thing for is the people in the game industry who only care about making a buck. That's the problem. Because the people in charge of a lot of these companies, let's be honest, EA, Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard, these are people who are corporate heads. These are not gamers. These are not people who have passion. These are people who do this all day with money in their hands, right? So to them, oh, wait a minute. A company came out of nowhere who no one was expecting to make a game of this caliber and has made a game that, number one, you only need to buy once. It has no microtransactions, no expected season pass or DLC content, and the game has insane amounts of quality content in it. Everyone playing it is praising it, saying it's best-in-class RPG. Oh, no. Now we have to have our guys make quality games, too? Right? I mean, do you not think that Yves Gibber, right? And that fucking guy who's the head of EA who looks like a fucking hipster supervillain, I forget his name, right? Or Mr. Bobby Kotick fuckface. Don't you think those guys look at a game like Baldur's Gate 3 and they're like, oh, shit. Why'd someone do that? Why did someone overachieve? We don't like that. Because we want bare minimum, bottom of the barrel, barely scraping any quality for the customer kind of games that are games as a service that we can milk insane amounts of money out of every single moment, tons of microtransactions, season passes, broken games that we didn't even test before we released, but you're the beta tester. Now that you bought it, you fix our games for us and tell us what's wrong. We'll patch it later. Monster amounts of content up front, but then monstrous amount later that you have to pay for. Not just given to you, but you have to pay for the extra content. So by the time you're all well and good, you played our shitty-ass games as a service game for 4 years and spent $10,000 on it. That's what they want, because they want to be rich. They don't care about what fucking game came out that was, oh, it was highly rated, highly touted by... They don't care. You want them to look at... They look at their spreadsheet. That's what they look at. They don't look at the ratings on fucking Metacritic. They don't look at the Game of the Year awards. They look at a spreadsheet. And on that fucking spreadsheet, there's sales numbers versus dev cost versus ongoing profits. And that's what they judge the performance of a game on. What the developers of Baldur's Gate 3 did is they said, fuck all that shit. We actually have passion. We actually are gamers like you, and we like video games, and we like RPGs, and we want to make the ultimate fantasy RPG for you. We're not looking to be rich off of this fucking game. We just want to make a good game. And if success comes as a result of that, then so be it. But here's the best possible game we can make, because we're actually artists. We're not corporate cogs in a fucking machine trying to print money for some fuckface in his 14th yacht that he has to fuel this summer, and because there's inflation, he's worried if he can afford the gas bill. So, when I hear all this hoopla, you know what I say? Ready? Here's what I say. Good. Good. I'm happy that the big boys are shaking in their boots. I'm really happy about it. You want to know why? Because now they have to do just as well, because no one's going to accept their just good enough to get by games moving forward. They're going to say, why would I spend $70 on the next piece of shit game from EA, Ubisoft, or Activision Blizzard when I have the best-in-class game that I already spent $60 on and I can keep playing it, right? Or I can re-roll my character with a new class or whatever. I don't have to waste money on your piece of dog shit. Good. And if people make informed, intelligent decisions and they compare all other RPGs to Baldur's Gate 3 moving forward, all right? What'll happen is people will stop frivolously spending money on inferior games, and the whole industry will have to improve. Yeah, because so far that hasn't happened. What ends up happening is the hype train gets on people, and they just spend their money frivolously. The new Pokemon game's out. Well, it looks like shit, runs like shit, it plays like shit. Buy it anyway. Why? Why did you do that? Oh, the next annual Call of Duty is out. Minimal updates. Game runs like shit. Inferior to the last 3 that came out. Netcode is the same fucking netcode from 9 years ago. Buy it anyway. Why? Why are you doing that? When you do that, you are empowering laziness. You are empowering people who are only there to benefit off of your ignorance. You need to make intelligent and informed purchases. If you throw money at hype, you will only get crappy hype. You will never get a better game if you empower bad behavior. This is why, okay, Nintendo never listens to its customer base, because as much as the customer base says, hey, we want a more powerful console, we want better features, we want Wiimotes that don't have fucking joystick drift, we want this from our game and that from our game, Nintendo says, I don't care. Buy our junk. Keep buying it because you're stupid. And people do. They just go out and buy it in droves. We want the Switch Pro. We want the Switch Pro. Here's the Switch OLED, which literally has none of the things you wanted. Okay, I'll buy it. I'll take that. Why? You idiot. You just let them get away with it again. And this is what keeps happening. Over and over. You see? People are dumb. It just doesn't make sense. Why empower bad behavior? Don't bail these companies out. When Nintendo puts out a shitty console, don't buy stupid little figurines to save them from their dumb-ass decisions. Okay? When they put out a horrible expansion for World of Warcraft, or they ruin Overwatch, or Diablo 4 comes out and they rebalance it and it's a piece of shit. Don't keep playing. Don't keep spending. Walk away. Stop. Stop the madness. Stop buying the yearly installment of the game that to tweak. Stop playing the games as a service game and giving them money every day. Stop. That's why you have bad games. In reality, the industry is a symptom of what the customers pay for, right? We wouldn't have so many shitty games if people wouldn't pay for the shitty games. We have to stop empowering shitty games. Right now, Baldur's Gate 3 is the best RPG ever. Buy it, play it, support it, talk about it, and demand better from everyone else. And from now on, every RPG that comes out that isn't as good, shake your finger at it like this and say, you should be Baldur's Gate 3. Shame on you. You're a AAA studio with 4 times the budget of Baldur's Gate 3. Why aren't you putting out Baldur's Gate 3? Because you suck. Because you don't even have the talent of the smaller studio, because you didn't care about talent, you cared about profit. Now you have to shape up or ship the fuck out. That's my take. I just don't understand it. Like, what is this controversy right now? I don't, right? I'm scratching my head about it. Like, I don't understand it. I'm at a loss as to why you people are even entertaining a whiny idiot company saying something. Right? Like, you're going to whine about it? No, get back up. You suck. It's your fault. All you cared about was this. Well, the industry's going in a different way now, so now you're fucked. Now you deal with it or quit. One or the other. There's people out there with passion who would love to make better products. Trust me. They're out there. They're just not empowered to do so. Get the people empowered who have the talent and have the passion to make good games, and get these fuck faces out of here who for the past decade have given us chilled out trash. Because do you remember how every year, for 2-3 years in a row, it was like 2012, 2013, 2014, it was like, oh my God, can you believe how many great games are coming out right now? And every game that came out was a bang. It was like, boom, Game of the Year contender. Boom, Game of the Year contender. And it wasn't even just one genre. You'd have a first-person shooter that was online competitive, a fucking RPG that was groundbreaking, a platformer that was best in class. And you'd be like, oh my God, these years were amazing. And all of a sudden, in the last like 7-8 years, now this game's not as good anymore. This game released and it wasn't really finished. It has a lot of problems. Man, this game's all right, but I keep paying money to really advance in it. Oh, what is up with this game? What's it? And we just kind of, for some reason, became complacent. And we started to accept the bullshit. I think that's the problem. As gamers, we shouldn't have done that. We should have demanded more. Because now that we actually are getting a genuinely good game, and people are playing it and enjoying it, you're like, oh shit, this is what we could have had all along if we were just a little bit more picky about what we spend our money on. Yeah. Right now, everyone's playing Street Fighter 6, okay? Street Fighter 6 is leaps and bounds the best Street Fighter game in probably 20 years. It really is. I think Street Fighter 6 is better than Street Fighter 4 at this point. I really believe that, okay? Why do people spend 7 years putting money into Street Fighter 5? Street Fighter 5 was the worst numbered Street Fighter entry. There was no reason for anyone to spend more than the initial purchase price on the game, and as soon as the game was terrible, no one should have ever spent $1 on it ever again, and within 2 years, they would have dropped it and made Street Fighter 6 instead of spending money on it. So what happens? Oh, 5 more extra years of Street Fighter 5 garbage. That's how the industry works. You don't support bad behavior, you don't support bad games, you don't support bad practices, and they go away. The moment that they dry up, now you have to make good games again. You know? Oh yeah? RG Beef says, look at the stark contrast between Diablo 4 and Path of Exile 2. Path of Exile 2 is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be free to play. The cosmetics are backwards compatible with the last game. Oh, see, I don't know anything about this. You notice that it's all PC-centric stuff? I'm like, damn. I do miss out on this stuff. Because I don't really know what's going on the PC-centric side of stuff, because I'm just not a PC gamer. So I miss out. I know